When you're old and alone, loneliness can kill you faster than any disease. Yes, you heard that right. It corrodes the body, clouds the mind, and quietly takes the shine out of life, all without making a sound. And the worst part? Almost no one talks about it. But today, we're going to change that. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. That simple action can connect you to weekly guidance on how to age with dignity, purpose, and joy, even on the hardest days. Now let me share with you what almost no one dares to say. There is a way out. There is a simple, accessible, and powerful path to living longer, with health, joy, and meaning, even when solitude seems inevitable. If you are over 60, or know someone who is, what you're about to hear may change everything. These are daily actions that act like natural medicine for the body and a healing balm for the soul. And no, this isn't motivational talk. It's science, it's medicine, it's life. You'll understand how the right routine can push back depression, how gentle movements help preserve your independence, and how ordinary conversations can add years to your life, with quality. We'll talk about true longevity, healthy aging, and lifestyle habits that really work. No magic formulas, are just powerful truths that few people talk about. If you feel like your days are losing meaning, if you wake up not knowing what to do, or if loneliness has already begun to knock at your door, this video is for you. And I promise, if you stay with me until the end, you'll discover a practical, comforting, and transformative plan to protect yourself, or someone you love, from the silent suffering that too many face, alone. Get ready, because now you're truly going to learn how to live well, even when you're alone. Few know it, but the absence of routine is one of the silent risk factors that most impact health in old age. Waking up every day without a defined purpose might seem like freedom, but for many elderly people, it is precisely that which lights the fuse of sadness and apathy. The biological clock, without clear references, collapses, and then come insomnia, anxiety, and in more severe cases, even the onset of depressive episodes. One of the greatest secrets to healthy aging and longevity lies precisely in the gentle discipline that only a good routine can offer. Waking up at the same time, having a light breakfast with fruits rich in antioxidants, such as banana and papaya, and following a small daily plan, this is the ritual of those who have decided to live fully. Robert, a retired engineer whom we have been following at the clinic for a few years, is a case I hold dear with affection and admiration. After the loss of his wife, he became completely disoriented, without direction. In the first few months, his physical health plummeted. He lost weight, his blood sugar levels fluctuated too much, and his tests showed a weakened immune system. That was when we talked about the transformative power of routine. He began waking up every day at 7 a.m., preparing a strong coffee with oats and flaxseed, wonderful sources of fiber and prevention of cardiovascular diseases, and at 8 a.m. he took a light walk in the park. At 10 a.m., he would call his grandchildren. In 2 months, his tests changed. But more than that, the sparkle in his eyes returned. There is something almost magical about giving structure to time. When you know what is going to happen throughout the day, the brain responds with a more balanced emotional chemistry. This reduces cortisol spikes and stabilizes mood. Studies from Stanford University indicate that elderly people with well-established routines have 47% less chance of developing dementia. And the reason is clear. A routine gives the mind a map, a logical sequence that facilitates cognitive organization. Moreover, it protects the elderly against the feeling of uselessness, the great hidden villain of health in old age. And it doesn't have to be a military schedule, you know? The secret is in lightness and consistency. Small daily habits, such as watering the plants at 9 a.m., watching a specific news program, or preparing a chamomile tea with cinnamon at 5 p.m., which is excellent for relaxing and regulating blood pressure, are true anchors of well-being. These actions, as simple as they may seem, create a sense of familiarity and emotional comfort that prevents diseases and strengthens resilience in the face of the losses and changes that old age brings. A good routine also protects against loneliness, which is one of the most dangerous threats to longevity. When you have set times for meals, for example, you create space for small pleasures like listening to soft instrumental music or reading a passage from the scriptures. There is even a German study that showed that elderly people who read Psalms before sleeping reported deeper sleep and fewer awakenings at night. And notice this curious detail. This simple practice was also related to a decrease in levels of C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker. In other words, routine is not only an emotional ally, it impacts the entire body. If today you woke up not knowing what to do, know this: you can still change everything. A routine does not have to be imposed. It can be created like a heartfelt recipe. Grab a sheet of paper, write down 3 things you love to do and 3 times when you feel most energetic. That's already a start. And if you want something deeper, add fixed times for physical activities, prayer, meals, and leisure. You will be surprised at how much this reorganizes the heart and the mind. The body feels when the soul gains direction. And it is precisely there, in that subtle point between discipline and pleasure, that the secret of longevity resides. There is one secret that few reveal. The human body was made for movement, and in old age, this principle becomes even more valuable. Inactivity is one of the most dangerous risk factors for healthy aging. And no, I am not talking about marathons or heavy gym sessions. I'm talking about something much more accessible, the simple act of standing up from a chair and taking a walk around the block, taking the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator, or even stretching your arms and rotating your shoulders before your coffee. These small gestures, when repeated daily, activate circulation, strengthen muscles, and combat cognitive decline. Health in old age begins with the simplest step: getting up. Ililana, a 74-year-old lady I met in a community group, is the kind of story that deserves to be told. When she arrived at the clinic, she was apathetic, complaining of pain and feeling forgotten. We started with just 5 minutes of walking around the house, twice a day. Then she joined a walking group at the square near her home, and she didn't stop there. She incorporated gentle stretches at dawn, while the sun touched the balcony. In 3 months, she reported less pain, more energy, and, believe it or not, she started dancing again on Sunday afternoons. Movement returned to her joy, autonomy, and a new sense of identity. Science confirms what we already knew in the office. Regular physical activity reduces the risk of cardiovascular diseases, prevents osteoporosis, and improves sleep quality. But there is more. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity showed that active elderly people have a 35% lower chance of developing dementia. This is because movement activates brain areas related to memory and attention. It is as if, by walking, you were also freshening up your mind and reinforcing neural connections. A moving body nourishes the brain with oxygen, serotonin, and dopamine, natural ingredients for well-being. But beware, do not underestimate the power of simple activities. Many think that only the gym counts, but that is a mistake. Climbing stairs, sweeping the yard, taking care of the garden, playing with the dog, these all count. In fact, some Eastern practices, such as Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong, offer not only physical balance, but also emotional and spiritual equilibrium. These activities, in addition to strengthening muscles, also help prevent falls, one of the main causes of hospitalization among the elderly. And more, they train resilience, that silent strength that helps us overcome tough days. Muscles in old age need to be used so they do not atrophy. Every strengthened muscle is a closed door to dependency. And we are not just talking about the visible body. The heart is a muscle. The lungs benefit from the deep breathing of exercise. Even the digestive system responds better when the body moves. A light walk after lunch, for example, reduces blood sugar levels and aids digestion. It is natural medicine. As an old Chinese proverb used to say, stagnant water rots, a still body gets sick. Therefore, the recommendation is clear: move every day, even if only for a short time. Put on some music you like, dance alone in the living room, stretch your arms before going to sleep. Longevity appreciates these simple yet powerful gestures. Sedentary behavior is not just a choice, it is an open door to the loss of autonomy. Movement, even if discreet, is a cry for life. And when the body moves, the soul smiles. There is a silent enemy that spreads among the elderly with more force than one might imagine: loneliness. Few know it, but it is as harmful to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or living with chronic obesity. And no, this is not an exaggeration. Loneliness dysregulates the immune system, increases the risk of heart disease, and directly affects the brain, accelerating cognitive decline. That is why staying socially engaged is one of the most powerful strategies to promote well-being and longevity. A daily conversation can be more curative than many medicines, and the most beautiful part, it's free and within everyone's reach. Frank, an 81-year-old gentleman who used to spend weeks without talking to anyone besides the supermarket cashier, is a transformative example. After simple guidance during a consultation, he reconnected with former colleagues and mustered the courage to join an online chess club. In less than 2 months, he started smiling again, dressing with more care, and even learning new moves. He himself said, laughing, "Loneliness was aging me faster than time." Today, every chess match gives me more life than any medicine, a classic case of how human contact re-energizes the soul and strengthens the body. Recent studies by the National Institute on Aging indicate that elderly people with active social networks show a significant reduction in stress levels, more stable blood pressure, and a marked drop in depression rates. When we converse, we exchange energy, exercise listening, and activate brain regions that keep us mentally agile. Socialization, especially among peers, strengthens emotional resilience and helps build a more positive perception of one's own life journey. Feeling heard, embraced, and useful is more important than one might imagine for maintaining health in old age. But it is not always easy to rekindle old ties or make new friends. Many elderly feel shame, insecurity, or believe it is too late. Here's a secret: it is never too late. The first step can be a phone call to that friendly neighbor, a visit to the bakery, simply to chat, or even joining prayer or reading groups. Many churches, community centers, and libraries offer weekly meetings with activities specifically for the elderly. A place where friendship blossoms is also a place where health is strengthened. Furthermore, it is worth remembering that helping other elderly people to connect is also a powerful form of healing. Teaching someone how to use WhatsApp, introducing one friend to another, or even forming a conversation group in the neighborhood are small actions that create great impacts. Technology, when used well, can also be an ally. Video calls with grandchildren, Facebook groups with shared interests, or even a YouTube channel with recipes and life stories. All of this keeps the brain active and the heart warm. Socialization is a vaccine against loneliness, and there are no contraindications. Therefore, if you feel that you have been speaking little, seek someone who listens. If you feel that no one cares, be the one who calls. Relating is a life habit as important as eating well or exercising, and, mind you, it is not about being surrounded by people all the time, but about cultivating meaningful connections. A conversation a day might be the secret to healthy aging and a full life. If you imagine it, But the brain is an invisible muscle, and like any muscle, it needs to be exercised so it does not atrophy. In healthy aging, keeping the mind active is as important as taking care of the heart. When we stop learning new things, the brain enters a dangerous state of rest, where neural connections begin to unravel. The good news? This is reversible. Studies show that even after 70, 80, or 90 years, it is possible to create new synapses and strengthen memory. It all begins with a simple habit, challenging the mind every day. Janet, a 79-year-old lady who came to me complaining of everyday forgetfulness, is an inspiring example. She would forget where she left her glasses, mix up her grandchildren's names, lose her train of thought during conversations, but she was thirsty for improvement. We started with crossword puzzles and small daily readings. Then she enrolled in an online Spanish course for the elderly. 3 months later, the confusions decreased and her mood was renewed. "Doctor, my mind is working again," she said with a smile. It was the cognitive stimulus, coupled with curiosity, that rekindled the flame of vitality within her. An active mind directly influences well-being and is a strong ally in preventing diseases like Alzheimer's. What few people know is that by reading a book, playing cards, or learning to use a new app, we are activating deep brain areas responsible for language, planning, and long-term memory. An article published in the Neurology Journal revealed that elderly people who regularly engage in intellectual activities have a 48% lower chance of developing dementia. In other words, thinking, questioning, learning. These are all remedies, and very good ones. But attention, stimulating the mind does not have to be a boring obligation. It can be pleasurable, fun, and even exciting. How about writing your own biography, recalling memorable moments from childhood, youth, and maturity, or assembling puzzles with your grandchildren, watching documentaries about other countries, or trying your hand at painting? There are also apps with memory and logic games developed especially for the elderly. They not only challenge the brain, but also provide moments of leisure, a perfect combination for health in old age. Another powerful point: studying something new generates purpose. Many elderly face a void after retirement, or when their children leave home. Learning a new skill, be it crocheting, photography, or gardening, reorganizes the mind and the heart. As the gerontologist Dr. Drautzio Varela once wrote, "The human brain only truly ages when it stops taking an interest in things." Keeping interest alive is cultivating longevity and resilience. It is transforming free time into fertile ground for creativity and self-knowledge. Finally, never underestimate the strength of an awakened mind. Every new word you learn is a brick in the construction of your independence. Every memory recovered is a bridge to your past. Stimulating the mind is an act of deep self-care that transcends the years and keeps the spirit young. So try it today. Read a poem, learn a new saying, try to memorize the ingredients of your favorite dish. You will be surprised at what you are still capable of doing. There is a mysterious and transformative power in stopping for a few minutes, closing your eyes and giving thanks, even if it is for the simplest things. Many neglect this practice, thinking it is something for religious or naive people. But what few know is that gratitude, when cultivated daily, has concrete physiological effects on the body and mind. It reduces the heart rate, regulates sleep, diminishes anxiety, and strengthens the immune system. Science increasingly confirms what spirituality has been saying for centuries. Gratitude heals. It is a silent remedy without side effects that renews the spirit and prepares the mind for well-being. George, an 84-year-old gentleman who was grieving after losing the wife with whom he had lived for almost 6 decades, is a touching example of this power. When he came to the office, his eyes carried a deep emotional exhaustion. We suggested a gratitude journal, a simple little notebook where he should write down 3 good things every day. At first he resisted, but soon he began to record details such as the smell of coffee in the morning, the birds singing, or an unexpected call from his grandchildren. Over time, he began to reflect more on the present rather than lament the past. He himself said, "It didn't change my pain, but it changed my perspective. And that, my dear, is everything." Neuroscientists at the University of California demonstrated in a remarkable study that individuals who practice daily gratitude exhibit higher levels of dopamine and serotonin, substances linked to feelings of pleasure and emotional balance. These results were even more pronounced in the elderly. The practice of giving thanks, especially before sleeping, significantly improves sleep quality, relieves muscle tension, and reduces insomnia, a common issue in old age. It is as if the body, upon recognizing what is good, prepares itself to rest in peace. But it is not just about giving thanks, it is also about reflecting, looking inward, understanding what you feel, why you feel it, and what can be learned from every pain, every loss, every silence. Reflection brings awareness, and with it comes emotional autonomy, the clarity that, even with the limitations of age, there is still power of choice. One can choose where to focus, and when one chooses good, life transforms. The Bible in Psalm 103 reminds us, "Bless my soul, and forget not all his benefits." Not forgetting the good is an act of emotional survival. A good idea is to start the day with a small prayer or meditation. Take a deep breath, think of something good and give thanks, or even perform a closing ritual at night, reviewing the day and finding something, however small, to hold dear in your heart. Gratitude does not eliminate problems, but it rebalances the way we deal with them, and this rebalancing is an essential part of the resilience that so strongly protects health in old age. In fact, resilient elderly people live, on average, 7 years longer than those who succumb to chronic feelings of frustration or bitterness. So, even if the day seems grey, look for a colour. Even if the body is tired, seek something that lights up the soul. A smile, a memory, a flower in the window. Gratitude demands nothing more than presence, and that presence combined with reflection creates a bridge between pain and hope. It may seem simple, but it is in that silent gesture that one of the greatest secrets of longevity resides. There is a profound secret hidden in the heart of those who live longer and better: serving others. And this is not just a moral or spiritual virtue, but a real factor in promoting health in old age. Studies from the Harvard School of Public Health indicate that elderly people who dedicate themselves to volunteer activities have a lower risk of depression, more stable blood pressure, and higher levels of satisfaction with life. Science confirms what the spirit already knew. When we extend a helping hand, we strengthen not only the receiver, but also the giver. Helping others is, in many cases, saving oneself. Margaret, a 76-year-old lady I met during a conversation circle at the parish, is living proof of this. After years of feeling useless and isolated, she decided to do something different. She began volunteering at a local food bank. There she started by packing baskets, then organized visits to other elderly people. What she did not expect was that by helping, she would find a new meaning to life. "I thought I was going to donate what little I had left, but I ended up discovering that I still had so much to offer," she told me, emotional. Today, Margaret is a reference of well-being and resilience in the community. Many times, the feeling of loneliness comes from the mistaken idea that we are no longer useful. This is a lie that society tells, and that we need to debunk every day. The elderly carry decades of experiences, stories, and lessons that can be soothing for those who are lost. Helping does not require grand gestures. Sometimes simply listening to someone, writing letters to acquaintances, sharing recipes, or even sharing a Bible verse can transform someone's day. These small acts of kindness create deep connections and heal invisible wounds. In addition, the act of helping stimulates the production of oxytocin, the so-called love hormone. This natural substance, released during empathetic interactions, promotes relaxation, reduces stress, and strengthens social bonds. It is almost like an emotional anti-inflammatory. Generosity, when practiced consistently, becomes a life habit as powerful as healthy eating or physical activity. It is a natural remedy that acts on the heart, blood vessels, and mind. An elderly person who helps reconnects with the world and sees themselves once again as an active part of life. And helping also means allowing yourself to be helped. It is about accepting the cycle of life, where everyone, at some point, has something to give and something to receive. Participating in support groups, social projects, community activities, or even prayer groups creates bonds that sustain difficult days and make the good ones even more memorable. Helping is cultivating hope in fertile ground. It is like planting a seed of light amid the weariness of routine, and watching that light illuminate not only the other person, but yourself. It is building an emotional legacy, something that will remain even after you're gone. So, if today you feel that you are alone, find someone to help. Call a friend, send a caring message, bring a homemade cake to a neighbor. It does not matter the size of the gesture. What matters is the heart with which it is done. Helping is a movement from within that transforms the world, starting with your own. And it is in that encounter with another that longevity finds its greatest secret, living with purpose. Now tell me, which of these actions will you start practicing today? If any part of this video touched you, share it in the comments. I want to know about your experience, your opinion, or even what has been the most difficult in this phase of life. Let's create together a space of support and learning. And of course, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. This is essential so you don't miss the next content that can completely transform the way you age with health, purpose, and joy. And don't go anywhere yet. The next video that will appear on your screen brings a profound lesson on how to keep the mind strong, even in the midst of loneliness. It is practically a continuation of this talk. See you there. Stay with God, and until the next video.